Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to another Watch and Talk here in Automotive Anatomy. Thank you. I hope you guys are doing amazing. I definitely appreciate the attention, the time. You know what's crazy? I think that in this DNA that we have, there's a quote. I don't know who said it, but I heard in a Kobe Bryant interview podcast. The gentleman said, you know, we're drowning in information, but we're lacking wisdom, and that's crazy because obviously every day we're getting bombarded. And I don't know how you, the individual who tunes into these Washington talks, how you deal with social media. I don't know if you don't have a social media. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But obviously we all know that it's a constant thing. And the topic that I wanted to discuss was, and I've had similar conversations in some previous Washington talks, but I really want to I really want to stress this out, which is whatever you're doing, and that's different for everybody, right? Um, just do it, even if you don't have the all the right tools, all the fancy equipment. Ultimately, I think thinking about doing something, then doing something, it's one step away, right? The action, but a million years apart, if that makes sense. I don't know how successful the channel could have been. It probably could have been bigger because I started the channel, as I mentioned, 2 years after I had thought about it. I got really heavily inspired by the Hoonigans, by Jay Leno's Garage, and most of the time I just felt like, man, like I want to know a little bit more about the owner. Obviously, the car's there. I want to know about the car as well. But I just felt like, man, I wish I could know certain questions, right? And so that's kind of how we have tailored the interviews towards that. And that was the thing that we did. That was the thing that I would always do. I would always watch those videos and think to myself, well, they have the fancy cameras, they have all the staff, they have all the tools, right? And that's kind of what always kept me from doing. And fast forward 2 years later, when I actually pulled the trigger, and I've shared this before, it was because my buddy Jake from Seattle, he sent me this long DM because I just asked him a simple question about his he has started a brand, a clothing brand. And I said, how did you start this clothing brand and what made you do it? And he shared a very personal story. I think the biggest thing that he shared that was fundamental for me was his why. And he explained that it wasn't because if he wanted, it wasn't to make money, right? It was a bigger reason behind that. And I think that's when it clicked for me. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel because I want to be able to meet people. I didn't have that many friends. I didn't have, I didn't know anybody in the car community. To this day, you guys know I'm not the most mechanically inclined individual, so I just wanted to learn. And in the process, if I can, I guess, create something, tapping into my creativeness, because I'm very artistic actually. I love to draw. I'm not the greatest, but I used to, draw, and even as I say that I'm not the greatest, it's because I didn't practice. It's not because I'm not talented. We have natural talent, right? There's some people that are just naturally extremely talented, but then there's other people that need to practice on that. And I think that that's where I failed, right? I failed where I didn't have the right tools. I didn't know anybody. So anyways, I read that huge message by my buddy Jake, and I got super motivated that I erased some videos and pictures from my cell phone, and that's it. I went to a nearby park, and it's extreme. I mean, a lot of you guys have gone back and see that video because I think it's cool to see where we started, right? And it's very choppy. It's not the greatest. Jacky looks different, but that was the first step. That was the beginning, and I'm not embarrassed of it. I think that it's pretty good that I'm able to go back and see that. 4 years. But my point is that I I delayed 2 years that could have been great for the growth, but I failed to take action. And I feel like a lot of people may have that same idea towards just any aspect in their life. Um, when you lack the tools in certain things, it makes you feel like you're not going to be successful. Well, I think that success is how you depend, how you define that. I've always said that, to me on a personal level, success is not defined by metrics. So numbers and data and following that, to me on a personal level, does not mean success. To me, success means, are you happy with what you're doing, regardless of what you're making. Yes, it's nice to make more money, but who cares if you're absolutely unhappy? And ultimately, the money is just the money. If you feel like you are providing a service, if you feel like you're fulfilled, if you feel like you're making a difference, and people appreciate what you do, I truly believe that that's how you're successful. And obviously, the more service you provide, the more you should get paid, more on the capitalistic type of mentality. Some of you guys may agree or disagree, but that's fine, and please leave it in the comment section. I wouldn't mind reading and having a chat about that. But regardless, I feel like that's the beautiful thing about this whole entire journey. Speaking of capitalism, I personally love seeing pictures of early days of different companies. I'll give you as an example, Amazon. My buddy Ralph, he's like, I don't like Amazon. They don't pay their workers enough. They don't pay taxes, and I agree with half of that, right? I agree they could pay better, but I also think that $15 or $16 an hour for a job that requires no degree, or that it provides you a decent living, I think is appropriate. So it's kind of like I agree and disagree. Yes, they don't pay taxes. Those are just loopholes that businesses have. Should those change? Maybe yes, no. Maybe it's someone right now listening to someone who owns a lot of properties or businesses, and they're like, well, I mean, what can I tell you? Those are the legal ways of not paying taxes, and you would be right. So I understand both points, but I'm not here to discuss those things. What I want to discuss personally is that early image of Mr. Bezos in his room with his little poster with spray can Amazon. That early interview, which is early, not early, he was already I want to say a multimillionaire, and he's driving a Honda Accord. A couple people have always sent me that clip, because it's funny. This guy's a millionaire and driving a Accord, like a '90s Accord, and it's I think sometime in the 2000s. Point is, he could have afford a exotic car, and so I like that because it shows like, look, we all start from somewhere. We just we're not in that journey, and the reason why I had this desire to talk about this is because on my way to work now, I have a 30 plus minute commute. Sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 45 minutes. I'm now back in the habit of listening to motivational speakers or positive podcasts. There's an amazing podcast on real estate about rental properties and things like that. I definitely recommend it. It's called Bigger Pockets Podcast. And I've been listening to a lot of their interviews and how people have gone about buying real estate and rental properties. And so I've been kind of just listening to those. Once in a blue moon, I'll listen to music, but I find that, I don't know, I feel like the music doesn't provide me with this sense of motivation or things like that. And so I've been listening to a lot of those things, right? Hard work. So I show up to work. I do the best I can. I try to, which is my own business, and do the work. I'm there for, the people that I need to have a positive impact. And so that's kind of that's my why. That's my desire. Could I be doing something that makes more money? 1,000%. But what's the point if it's not bringing me any value? At the end of the day, you guys know that you cannot, buy a sense of enjoyment through material things. It makes you happy in that moment, but after a while, it's like, okay, cool. Like now, what's next? What's the next set of wheels? What's the next set of paint? What's the next set of parts? Or what's the next car? So I'm very content. I'm definitely at this very moment just kind of pushing to be ultra saving, because I don't know, I just there's time to play and there's time to save and there's time to do different things. And so that's where my mentality is at the moment. At least these next 6 months of this 2022. Wow, it's gonna go fast. That's where I'm at mentally, which is saving and just you know trying to be present wherever I am. And part of being present wherever I am is also acknowledging the fact that the channel's not where it will be in 5 years, and that's fine. If we quit, it's definitely not gonna go anywhere. If I don't find any enjoyment in this, and I'll stop. I'll do something else. But as of now, I find enjoyment. And you guys know, I mean, if you guys ever meet me, if anybody from out of state or I get to meet you guys, I wholeheartedly mean this and don't take it disrespectful. I don't really care about being recognized. I don't, it's almost weird to me, like when people come up to me and, they're like, damn, bro, like I see the videos, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, like I say hi and bye, and that's fine. And I ask questions. I want to listen to your story. I definitely want to talk to you. But I definitely am not one of those to get like ego booster. I don't know if that's the right proper way, from someone recognizing me. I think I get more joy out of somebody saying, hey man, like I watched this certain interview and that guy was super cool, and hey man, that guy that you interviewed, he was super cool. I got to meet him somewhere else. I'm more excited about that than somebody, I guess, getting to know me. But none of this would have happened if I start overthinking, well, what are people going to say? It's funny. Every time I wash my car, people are always, you guys can see it, people are driving in and out. Well, it's a, it's a freaking alley. People come in and out. And I've never had anybody come up to me and say, why are you recording yourself? I think some people know that it goes on YouTube. Some people are just assuming because it's like, this guy records himself washing his car. Why? One of my neighbors does know that, I have a YouTube channel. I think he asked me, he's like, how come you record yourself washing your car? And I told him, and that's when he's like, oh, that's cool, but he likes cars too. And so that's kind of how we started talking. But the thing is, if I overthink, by the way, I wanted to get some cool shots. There's a YouTube channel. I don't know the name of the channel. It's blinking. I'm blanking on it, but he does some really cool wash videos. He doesn't talk. He just does, natural sounds and just different angles. It's really cool. I forgot. He's from somewhere in Canada. And he cleans like a whole bunch of like Euros, like BMWs and things like that. But anyways, if I start overthinking about, man, it's not the most aesthetic place. I don't have, the right, a lot of you guys have always said, hey, dummy, that you guys don't say dummy, but like, hey man, you need 2 buckets, do the 2 bucket system. I get it. I understand. Yes. 2 bucket system is much better. Oh, hey man, like, you should do this. Like, I understand. Like, I'm not there yet. You know what I mean? But doesn't mean that I don't continue to pursue that. I continue to do these washing talks because I know that I don't know when, maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I don't know. I'm going to have my own place. I'm going to have my own space where I can wash my car, and I'm going to repeat it. And you're going to be like, yep. Some of you guys are going to be following, on the washing talks. You're going to be like, yep, I remember when he said that, and it could be a year from now, 6 months, 3 years, whatever. But we don't let the lack of tools, we don't let the, it's not the most aesthetic thing, stop us. We continue, and you understand that if you provide some type of service, or you solve a problem or entertainment, then you will continue to get more support, kind of like the channel has been showing, right? I mean, the numbers are there. And again, I don't feel, we have around 40,000 subscribers. I personally don't feel that I'm some type of, celebrity or whatever you want to call it. Some people definitely get that ego booster from having a bigger Instagram page or a TikTok or whatever social media presence. I just take it like cool. It's the metric is there. That's fine. It allows me at least to be able to send DMs to people, and hopefully they check. I'm sure a lot of people look at my message, and then they go into my page, and then the next question is like, well, how big is his YouTube channel, right? And then when they check it, they're like, oh, okay, cool, he's been at it, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Or maybe they don't, I don't know, but I know that having those numbers to back it up, it helps me, I guess, build credibility, or some type of like, you know yeah, credibility, I would say. And I think a lot of people are definitely like, yeah, I'll be able to, I'll be down to do it. Now I've had it where I've sent DMs to people, and they straight out tell me like, hey man, it's not my thing. And a month or 2 months later, they come out on a bigger, YouTube channel, and that makes me realize that it's not that they don't they're shy. It's just that they don't see the value on my YouTube channel, and that's okay. Because then that lets me know that those are not the people that we want on the channel. Like I've told you guys before, I'm able to see in what order people have come into the channel because all the videos are there. And it's super cool because sometimes I get to go back and check out some of the videos, and I get to see the progression of, when I did my phone. I remember one time I set up 2 interviews because it was very difficult for me to get people to say yes. I mean, the channel had 0 subscribers, you would say. And so I was able to get 2 people to say yes at the same time. And I was like, okay, cool, man. Like, how about I meet with you at 8? And then I told the other person I'll meet with you at 11. It was 2 complete cities, different cities. And I had my phone. And so I went and I interviewed in the first one. And then for whatever reason, I don't remember why my phone was acting up. It was dying, man, and the battery was just dying so fast. So I was like, okay, what do I do? So I drove over to the other city. I had just enough battery to tell the other interview, like, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm running late. I think we were supposed to meet at 10. Can we do 11:30? He was like, yeah, no problem, man. And I went to a McDonald's and I just charged my phone, and I just stood there. I just sat there, charging my phone. I didn't buy anything from McDonald's. I was just sitting there. So once it got to about 65% battery, I hit up the guy. I'm like, hey man, I'm ready. I'm sorry, and we interview. And I was like, the whole time he was talking, I was nervous that the phone was going to die. And sometimes, a lot of the times, the phone would show that the memory was full, even if it wasn't. So those were some of the early stuff that obviously none of you guys are going to know about. You just saw the video, and maybe you guys saw that it wasn't the best quality, or it was choppy, or there were times that the audio unsynced, and I was like, oh my god, like it was just challenging to say the least. And so we didn't stop. We didn't let those things that define what we could be. And to this day, I'm still thinking the same thing. You guys started watching the Washington Talks with me, just with a regular hose, and that's it. Like that's and now that we have a little pressure washer, like I love seeing the soap cover the entire car. That's actually my most favorite part of the whole entire wash. That and maybe cleaning the wheels. But the idea is that you're still moving forward even if you don't have all the right tools, or my car, so for instance, Rosie is not in the best of shapes, right? But it doesn't mean that just because it's not where I want her to be, that I'm gonna neglect it, or I'm not gonna use her as part of the Washington Talks. I love the older videos where I can see Jacky, and she has green and black and red fenders, and all these different color schemes. And now to see where she's at, I'm grateful that through this journey I was able to meet Francisco Mata, because then he's the one who has rebuilt that car. And if it wasn't for him, like that car would I know for a fact would have never looked the way it looks now, nor it had been been revived this past time that we got into an accident. And funny enough, through this journey of not having the right systems, but you create the proper relationships. I'll give you guys another really good story. Speaking of reviving cars, so some of you guys may know, some of you guys may not know, but Jacky was legit about 3 days away from being junked. Um, there had been some structural damage on the shock tower, from the control arms that I had for a long time, and for how low it was, it started cracking the some parts of the shock tower, and it was really odd because it was cracking it to the point where it was unsafe to drive. The control arm was moving, and it got so bad that like the car was in essence driving sideways. It was just dangerous, and so I parked it, and I was so upset. And I am now one to want to share what's going on with the car. I'm just like, okay, what do I do? And I don't know. I was like, let me see how I can fix this, and if not, then I'm gonna be okay with myself, junking her. So I recorded like a 15-second clip, like saying like, hey, is this fixable? And if so, like, how would you approach it? And I sent that video to probably like five people at one that I really trust, and five people that I know either could help me by doing it themselves, or could guide me somewhere. And one of those was Juan. And Juan, we've interviewed him on his CVCC. And how this story relates to the topic that I'm talking is, with Juan, I interview him, and I did it with my phone and this microphone, and the freaking SD card corrupted. So half of his interview is gone. And I didn't realize I edited everything. It worked out. And then when I uploaded into the actual video, I had no idea what had happened. So it just shows you guys that I was super embarrassed. This day we still joke. I was super embarrassed that his interview didn't go through. A year or 2 years later on, I'm still having conversations with this guy. He's probably one of my most best friends that I've met through this journey. I think very highly of him. And so he tells me, "Oh, bring it over to the shop. We can fix that." And I was like, "Are you sure?" He goes, "Yeah, just bring it by." Maybe it was like a Wednesday. I'm like, "Hey, on Saturday, can I take it?" Yeah. So I even when I drove it down the 91, I felt super sketchy. I'm thinking he's not gonna be able to fix it. And if he doesn't fix it, like I was already like making plans. This is the yard, the junkyard next to it. I was already making plans. And I go. Juan's like, "Yeah, man, leave it for a couple of days. I'll get it all straightened out." Like, "You sure?" "Yeah." Within a day, he starts sending me updates. With the wheel off, starts welding this, welding that. He's like, "Yeah, I took it for a drive, man. It's like super low, but yeah, it drives good, straight, safe." And like, it took him a day. Like, the guy knows how to work. And I was like, "What in the like?" That's it. He's like, "Yeah." And then he wouldn't accept a single dime. He's like, "No, don't worry about it." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, so I gave him a little bit of money, but nothing compared to what it should have been. He's like, "Okay, like, you don't have to pay me. Like, I'm letting you know, like, it's okay." How this story, continues is that down the road, when Francisco Mata redid the whole engine bay the very first time and did the manual swap, um, I can definitely understand the level of work and craftsmanship. Francisco did not get paid what, anybody else would have charged me. But why did he do that? I like to believe is because the same thing with him. When I interview him, I didn't have the best quality, tools, but we still made it happen. In fact, on his second interview with Francisco Mata's Prelude, the whole entire engine footage went bye. I don't know where in the heck it went. I knew it was there. I checked the phone, I checked the computer. It just got erased. So I sent them a message and said, "Hey, man, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna, I'll figure out. I'll drive to you." And he made more time for me, and I drove to him. We did the engine bay part, just that's it. 6 minutes, 7 minute conversation. I drove home, 2 hours on traffic, and then I tried syncing it as best as possible. So I'm so grateful for those two dudes, but it all happened because I took the steps. I took the steps to continue, even when I didn't have the right tools. So, hey, you don't know what you can accomplish. Go at it, even if you don't have the right tools. It's crazy. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.